Welcome everybody to the More is Less mix breakdown. Let's get down into it. So I have the More is Less track. I have the master track showing, which displays all of my time automation, tempo automation. Yeah, I have a group of sound effects, and this is pretty much anything that's what's on the screen. I need to hear it, and a little bit of dreaminess, kind of made up stuff over here. So we have this first section with the clocks, this second section with the magazine, which is all rips and tears, and then this last section. And the middle is pretty much just disco, 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 disco. Let's take a look at my music, and this is all the loops that I laid out. So let us begin. So first thing I did, like I said, I usually like to take care of the easiest, obvious stuff. So if we come in here, and I just did the footsteps. Let's take a look at them footsteps. And as we go through the project, we will be revealing the magic. And pop. All right, so check it out. So I moved some stuff around to make sure that the footsteps lined up with her, and I changed the volume for it, so as she's far away, and she gets a little closer, and then now she's right up front. Yeah, they sounded a bit like Mel Boots stomping, so I just dropped the pitch. Yeah, I raised the pitch up to make it a little bit more smaller foot. Yeah, so it sounds like she's got some like gnarly leather boots on or something like that. And it was just too bulky, and I really needed some of that high-end stuff out of it and really scoop a lot of this stuff out. Yeah. Oh, that was bypassed the entire time. Good Lord. Oh, here we go. Now you should be able to hear a difference. The pitching algorithm is kind of crappy, but whatever. And then clear it up. There you go. Now that makes a difference. Oh, I hate my life sometimes. Cool. So footsteps, and then I threw in the ambience. That's been brought down by 12 dB and fades out right at the very end. There we go. And what I did, yeah, so sometimes you'll notice samples have like some low frequency kind of rumble, and then they'll be pretty bright because they'll use like a condenser, a really high-end condenser microphones. So you usually have a lot more information than you need. So the thing I noticed was that, okay, cool, I don't need any low frequency stuff in there. Then also like the little crickets and insect stuff is kind of like really in your face. So shelving that out, or sorry, low passing that out, kind of recedes it further back. Yeah, and I brought it down by 9 dB. Cool, next one. We got some traffic. Right, I think, yeah, so I did some finessing with this one of some fade in and fade outs. There's a part in the traffic sample that kind of ramps up and then calms out. And then there's just like ambient traffic stuff in the back. So I kind of did this as a build-up right before it. There's no plugins on this, surprisingly. So we're in the city somewhere, so I just kind of put that in there as an extra texture. And you'll notice that sometimes too in film where a sound effect from the next scene is introduced and then it's kind of part of the transition. So, good times. Grandfather clock. So this is something that we're keeping with the ambiguity kind of thing. What did I do? I didn't do anything? Okay. Let's get rid of all this. And the fade out kind of follows with the fade to black. So obviously I took the grandfather clock, reversed it, and just kind of thought I need to make it weirder. So let's make it weird. Just a little flanger on it. And just kind of mess with the settings. Just messed with the settings until I got something that I kind of dug. Stop, yeah, and then some EQ on that. So a lot of these, don't think that I came in and was like, oh yeah, quack, 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 quack. This is exactly how it's going to sound. A lot of these things I just kind of threw in as placeholding. Like I threw this sample in and maybe did a flanger and then moved on and then realized that with all this stuff in, I kind of really needed to EQ this. So a lot of this stuff I kept revisiting and kept adjusting and kept revisiting and kept adjusting till it really kind of came into focus. So the EQ, and I brought it down. Yeah, so it's really meant to just kind of be implied. I threw some delay on there. 586 millisecond delay, repeats at minus 3 dB. Yeah, the main sample is in there, but there's just a little bit of... yeah, a little bit of weirdness in there. What did I do for the pitching? I repitched it. I'm making a 9th. And then right above that, whatever that is. Yeah, keeping the original and just blending that in. And I also messed with the format just a bit on that second one. Yeah. Got so much stuff going on here. And then I'm compressing. Why am I compressing? I probably had this compressing a little bit harder. Yeah, and if you look at the level, it's just kind of like randomness, ups and downs once it levels out. Yeah, and I think I just wanted to contain that a little bit. And I probably brought it down eventually and negated the use of that compressor. Okay, let's move on. Mags. So yeah, this was it for me. Once I had this taken care of, I was like, okay, cool. I'm done with sound effects for the ending. Let us go to the magazines. Now the magazines, I probably spent more time on it than I really needed to, but I think it came out pretty well. So these are all just different snippets of the magazine. Some of the rates have been changed. Yeah, like this rate has been changed. It's been repitched, actually. I'll show you a cool trick with the track effects. So if I play this, so all those are handling just the tears and rips. So I found, just go through that magazine sample and look for every part where he's doing a page turn or on every part where he's doing a rip, and then cut those parts out and try to line them up with this. And then if you need to, if obviously some of the rips are just like, but you only need like half a second of it. So cut a portion of that, and then if that's too long or too short, then you can like adjust it to be with the length of it by the time adjustment tool. I wanted to, so like these little rips, that was kind of difficult one. I still not am fully convinced, but it works. I wanted to pitch just these samples up specifically without putting a global pitch shifter on this. If you double click on the track, there's a thing called take effects. And this is pretty much an FX, whatchamacallit, a little FX slot, but just on this sample right here. And what am I doing? I'm pitching it up. So I'm trying to make this bigger piece of paper sound like a smaller piece of paper. That's literally it. But if you ever want to put just a pitch shifter or a certain EQ, I know like in Pro Tools, it's called like audio sweep, where you can pick a specific region or an item and then put one effect on that and render it in, so you don't have to, like let's say you have some low end rumble on one specific part, then you can just highlight it, select it, and then apply that FX just to that little snippet. So take effects in Reaper is kind of like the same thing. So that handled all the little rips and tears. Oops. Next one. And you can see it's all from the same magazine one. So the next one I did after this, I think these are page turns. Oops, back up. What is this? Yeah, that looks super real. I'm totally convinced that he is turning those pages. Right on. And then the other detailed stuff for the magazine, I pitched it for some reason. Let's take that off. Oh, right. So this is these little weird things that pass by. All right, yeah. Let's go to frame. So you should be in this so you can lay out stuff exactly by the time code. There you go. Yeah, these are these little weird transition stuff that flies by where they cover up the entire screen. And especially like this one. Yeah, it's just like a flash of things going by. This is literally, if I pop this up, rate 32 minus 12 dB. This is literally the entire magazine sample just scrunched up and squeezed by 32.5 times. So that's why it has that kind of thing that flies by. So that's what this is implying. Those huge page things that take up the whole screen. And then what did I do to it? Repitch. Kept the original, brought it down, and then brought it down to 8 and really shifted it low to get some, I guess, weight out of it. Yeah. There you go. So it went from being small pieces of paper to big paper. Yeah. And the last of the magazine. Yeah, so if you see something, a sound or a cue that looks really, really complex, break it up. Like, you know, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do this. And after a while, you'll realize that, hey, I've gone through the entire thing. Yeah, and so those are the rest of the page turns. And so just finding something that really lines up and moving things around, getting your fades in and out, working appropriately. And I didn't do anything on that track. Yeah, so the magazine felt good. I was happy about that. Then I moved on to the beginning, this whole aspect of time. So we've already discussed about reversing. You can use the take method and you can retain an original of how that works. Yeah, or you can do what Isaac realized, totally just hit this reverse button and it'll completely take care of it. I know the take way seems a little bit convoluted, but it was a good way to kind of talk about this eventually, because if you're going to be using Reaper, you are going to be using takes for other things. So yeah, hit that reverse button, and then it looks like I left it as is, and then I did the pitch dropping thing. Yeah, and then we move on to the next scene. Okay, so we have some of these old school office sound effects, and as soon as it cuts to her, and I'm using this trick where you hear the sound first, and it leads into the next scene as a kind of a transition. What did I do? I put some reverb on it. Yeah. Not the funnest reverb to play with, but you could still get like decent results out of it. Brought up the room size between like 80 and 90 is a really good spot. Damp it, increase the damp, increase the delay, and it's blended back about 6 dB. There you go. You hear it trilling out a little bit. Why any of y'all would be dreaming of a fax machine would be beyond me. Telephone. What does this do? There you go. So once we get there, like, hey, there's a telephone sound. And I brought that down a little bit. That was it. Some of the stuff I didn't touch. I just turned it down and placed it and left it and moved on. And some of the stuff I just kind of sat there and was like, okay, how am I going to make this really, really work? So know when to go down a rabbit hole and when to just move on. Here's that falling star that I showed y'all that I had reversed. And I'll go into the effects here since y'all weren't able to hear that last time. That was probably really loud for y'all, which kind of sucks, which was really loud for me. Let's talk about what we did. So I brought down the original 6 dB, and yeah, kind of in the way that we're, if you take a sample and put it on a keyboard and you just start playing chords and doing weird things to mess with it. This is kind of like what I'm doing where, okay, the sample is going to shoot, and then I just need to, you know, maybe make it an octave or put some low end kind of harmonies under it. Yeah, kind of something like the THX theme or whatever. -2 on the 2 octaves below, brought the shift down. 2 octaves below, but I'm doing a tritone, brought the shift down just a bit. 2 octaves below, and then I'm adding a major ninth above that, and I'm leaving it. Yeah. Oh, 50 hertz kicker makes an appearance. This is awesome. I mean, I know it's really meant for like kick drums or something like that, but if an audio goes through it, it's going to trigger 50 hertz, and that's pretty awesome. I started getting really picky with it, so the low end was a little uneven. I wanted something more stable. If you've wanted to dive into multi-band compression, REAComp it's not a pretty plugin, but man, yeah, you could totally do multi-band compression with this, and it's freaking awesome. So everything below 250 hertz, I'm compressing 2.6 ratio, takt time 24, release time 44 milliseconds. So I'm allowing some of the transients to come through, then I want the compressor to kick back as fast as possible. So with it engaged, yeah, it just evens out that low end just a bit, and then I know it's probably loud, and so but I didn't want to, it felt loud, but I didn't want to remove or bring down all the energy. I wanted to retain that energy, so I just kicked back a little bit of those higher frequencies that really get into your damn ear. Yeah, that's awesome. So that was a fun one I spent a little bit of time on. Clock winding down. Oh, it's repitched. Did I have all this stuff on there? Oh, wow. Oh, sorry. Clock by itself. Maybe you see the line. So it just slows down just a tad. We repitch it and then play it by itself. Yeah, big clock. Added some delay. I think I added some delay. Yeah. Just to make it weird. 4-tap phaser. Event horizon. Let's put a little hat on top of that. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And the EQ. There you go. I'm not sure if I had these plugins bypassed on the version that I sent y'all. Oops. Yeah. So this is it for the beginning. Terrifying. Terrifying. Even though nothing is happening. Nothing is absolutely happening.